It says eyes live. I'm not sure I believe that eyes live, though. Let me double check that eyes live. Eyes live! Okay, I just need to post this in. Need to post that I am live. Not like Twitter and stuff. I thought it had gotten set up, but I don't know. Maybe because the event got for some reason fell off. Why did my live chat? Why did my link for live chat not come up? Yeah, do you have it? I will reclose Discord. That's fine. I tried to copy it from Twitch, and it was like, nope, you can't do that. That's not allowed. Cool. Okay. So that is there. I will go over to Foss book. The Foss book. What's horrible? Yeah. Echo is never fun. Okay. I'm assuming they meant they finished the Apocalypse Gate series. So obviously, because Book 8 was what was the ending to Apocalypse Gates that is going to happen for any time in the foreseeable future, if I ever do get around to it again, will come at a time and place when I don't have mortgages and things that I have to worry about. So, which I've said before, so most people know. I'm assuming that is just a individual saying they have finished. And now I can close down Discord again so I don't get bombarded with things. Look, Jarvis finally. Jarvis got to it. Okay, where was Discord? So I can close it. Close Discord. Okay. Whew. That's a thing. Yeah. So hi everyone. We're probably gonna have people slowly trickling in because according to my eyeball up there, I have one person watching me. Yeah, but on my end, you have Twitch. I have StreamYard. So okay. So welcome to the live chat, guys. It was in question whether or not I was getting to this today. Yesterday, I had a bit of a high blood pressure issue. I had to go to the hospital. My blood pressure ranked out at, what was it, 212, 125 or something? Yeah. So a bit high. Um, that's in the stroke inducing area. So yeah, today I'm better. I'm at like 150 over 110. Not great by any stretch of the imagination. I have due meds. So we're hoping that I don't die in the near future, right? Because you guys still have a lot of stories that you want me to finish, I'm sure. So we might curtail this like after an hour today instead of the normal like 2. So yeah, just so you're all aware, life has been life of late. A lot of fun. Um, but let's get to why you're all here. You want to hear me talk about stupid shit like my books and answer questions and comments that you guys pull in. And for me, if I don't meet something I have if I have agreed to do something and then I don't do something, it affects me worse. So as much as my girlfriend asked me to not do the live chat today, I am here because knowing me, I would obsess about it and it would affect me worse than me being here. And since my blood pressure had come down and I wasn't in stroke range this morning, we're here. Of course, we're here about an hour earlier than we were going to be. So, because, later in the day is typically worse. But let's get to book stuff. So what was it? Emerita Divided, Lux Voice Book 8 was the last book we released back in July. Um, it was a dip overall for the series. I knew going into it I was going to be able to finish with book 9. So even though that it's probably going to be a loss through book 9, I'm giving you guys the end of the series because I hate at least not having some kind of wrap up. So Lux Voice Book 9 was going to be where I was going to end the series anyway, and now I have yet a double reason to end the series. Um, the next book up, as you can all see down there, is going to be Aether Survival 9, Empire's Orders, currently slated the end of September. We'll see how things work out with timing and whatnot on that. And then, of course, you have the scroll down on the bottom. Antecedents 3 audio guys. Podium gave me information about the pre-order. Some of you guys have preempted me on different social media platforms. Totally fine. I was not in a place to do it yesterday when I got told. So thank you for getting the word out. I appreciate that. Words are a thing, tough, as I've stated many times before, and as you can tell, I'm in full Italian mode today with my hand. If that gets locked down, I very well might go into an apoplectic shock at that point because you can't stop an Italian unless you tie their hands together, and in which case they can't talk anymore. Scientific fact. So I think that pretty much covers things. I know people are going to ask about the audio for Lux Voice 8. Guys, the audio for Lux Voice 8 is in a kind of nebulous position at the moment because there was a scheduling error. We have to find a spot to be able to slide it into Andy's schedule. We're going to try to do it before the end of the year at some point, but it might not happen until early next year. I know that's not ideal, but that is what happens when you have two people who are producing a lot of material, and when your author doesn't take the time to apparently explain and give like release date information in a timely manner over. So it's not Andy's fault. It's 100% my fault. It was a conflict and a scheduling thing with me and Podium and Andy about all the different things going on. So I apologize. We will be doing our best to get it out to you when we can. So please don't bother her with it. She has enough going on. As it is right now, she's trying to push as much through one of the wandering inns as she can get through before going to Dragon Con. She's a busy woman, very busy woman, and we love her to death for everything she's done. I think that's book, right? So of course, other information coming up, guys. I will be at Dragon Con, probably. I mean, life being life. I will be there. I have a couple of panels to get to. I posted them over on the Discord server because I don't have that information in front of me right now. There was one for Weird West books that I got asked for like back when they were just starting to put their panels together. And then I got put on two more. One was a Celtic mythology panel, and the other one was a lit RPG panel. And then at Dragon Con, there's apparently on Sunday night going to be a lit RPG meet and greet in one of their rooms. And we're pretty certain we're going to bust the capacity for that, and we'd like to just to prove to Dragon Con just how popular lit RPG is. So if you're attending the con, please stop by the meet and greet. I will be there early because I do have a business dinner to get to in the later half of that. So if you want to see me at that meet and greet, you need to be there like when it's starting up because I won't be there for long. Let's see. I do have a convention in Vegas in November. That is it was the 50 book 50 books, no, 20 books to 50K, whatever it was before. Now it's the oh god, I'm sorry guys, I'm terrible with names. This is why I use spreadsheets. I forget. But the Friday, November 15th is when they're doing the rave. They're basically big, all the authors have tables so fans can come in and meet them and stuff. And I know there's a ticket to get involved with that, but if you sign up for the ticket, they also have, for some of the authors attending, they have books. You can pre purchase some books from those authors, so they will be at the tables and signed, so you can get signed books from some of your favorite authors who are going to be there. I have, I think, 3 books up on their site for that. I think it was Binding Words, Aethers, and Heavenly Chaos. I have a cat. You can tell by the tail at the bottom of the screen. Hello, Plush. Would you like to be a movie star? Eee, cat. My numbers go up. I have cat. Very uncertain cat. Okay, Beans. Down you go. I'm a porn star. I assaulted a pussy on camera. Pure petting while holding it up to my face. I mean, wow. At least I'm on brand. I'm a dirty, filthy harem writer. Really? As you can see, she's found her Nerf gun. It might have been a streak behind me. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. But yeah, she found her Nerf gun, for all of those who are wondering. So, okay, I'm going to go back to the start of this, and I'm now going to start through and find questions and comments from you guys. You have a Word document open to take names? Okay. So some of our normal moderators are not here, so we are doing the best we can. It is a 2-person job today instead of a 3 or 4-person job today. Your books are not stupid. You're an extremely fun writer who creates interesting characters and fascinating worlds. Well, I thank you, MV. I do. To me, there'll always be the silly stories in my head, just because. I do appreciate that all of you guys enjoy them. The fact I see so many pages read, so many books bought. I know factually that they're entertaining stories, but also at the same time, I'm like, it's gonna end. That's that whole imposter syndrome thing that like a lot of creatives get. Every time I publish a book, this is where it's going to end, and that was not helped by the debacle that was Resurrection Quest. That only brought it all right back around for me. They like magnified it. So now still every time I publish a book, I still get that seed of, oh fuck, here we go again. So yeah. Why all the authors you like seem to have health concerns. It's probably because we sit at a desk a lot and drink coffee and whiskey and stress over whether or not it's all going to fall out from underneath us at any given time. Honestly, my life has had additional stress besides the normal ones, which I'm not going into. But I know you can at least see the background behind me, and I'm not answering questions about that. So there you go. Where was I? I think 8 was better than 7. 7 might have turned people off as it was probably the weakest. Maybe. Critch, possibly. Normally, as the longer a series goes on, the more drop off a series has. So I can say that Lux Voice was seeing that slow decline. It was slightly more pronounced from 6 to 7, and then from 7 to 8. So, of course, last time I thought that, I published Apocalypse Gates book 8 and thought, well, it's going to do like what book 7 did, and it picked up hard because the last book of a series normally gets a lot of people who've put down the series at some point to pick it back up because now it's complete. They can just finish it out. So I'll see if that happens when I get through Lux Voice 9 or not. Lux Voice 9. I don't think I'm having a stroke, but the words seem a little harder than normal. It could just be me being conscious of the fact that I have people here watching me struggle. Yeah, I'm fine. I don't even have a small headache at the moment, which is nice. Considering the headache I had yesterday, not having a headache today seems so much better. By the way, I love the possible double meaning of Heavenly Chaos's title, Fighting Past Pain. CB, that was intentional. And when you guys see the cover, you'll understand. I did love that double meaning when I was coming up with it, though. And that was 100% intent. My mom and I have high blood pressure issues. My mom had a stroke that scared me. Mine happens because I'm in a constant, never-ending pain from migraine. So I somewhat empathize. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. I mean, McKnight, um, I appreciate it. Having gone through it twice now, the first time was when I found out I had high blood pressure when I went to the emergency room and my blood pressure was over 180. Um, I will endeavor my best to never go back. It seemed that one of my medications wasn't helping as much as it should, which was part of the problem. I need to be a little more proactive on keeping track of my blood pressure, which I hadn't been for the last year because I had been fine, which obviously I wasn't. It was slowly creeping back up on me. We changed medications. Funnily enough, I had gone to my doctor yesterday morning to talk to my doctor about my high blood pressure, and they changed my medications, and I was going to start them today. And then late morning yesterday, like 2 hours after the doctor's appointment, my head started hurting. And I told my girlfriend, and she's like, well, that's concerning. We should keep an eye on your blood pressure. So we checked it, and it was high. It was like 167 over something, higher than it should be. Concerning that it was going that way. And then we checked it like an hour later, and it was 176 or something. It's like, okay, no, we don't want to do this again. My head is really starting to hurt. We whisked me off to the emergency room. I didn't fight it. I didn't argue. Um, Unlike other people I know who might argue about going to doctors' offices. I'm not calling anyone out. Um, but we went, and by the time that when they checked me at the door for blood pressure, it was like 180 something, and they're like, okay, it's a little high. By the time they got me into the room, into a gown, on the bed, and they checked it again, it was like 195 over like 130. And that was at that point they're like, okay, yes, this is a problem. I got a lovely CT scan, and then they gave me a migraine cocktail, which helped me not think about the pain, and kind of like shifted me out of my body slightly, which was disconcerting as hell. I will add, um, and then eventually, by the time I left, my blood pressure was coming down. It didn't fall under like concerning levels, but it wasn't, oh, you're gonna die now levels. So it was still, apparently my girlfriend tells me it was still high and concerning when we left, but there wasn't anything else they could do in the hospital for me because I was going to be starting new meds, and I had taken my previous meds that morning. This morning I took my new meds. We've taken my blood pressure. It's been like 150 over 110. So still higher than it should ever be, but not, oh my God, we need to take you back to the hospital. At the moment, I don't have the headache that I've had. So I'm hoping that maybe we're going to be on something that'll work now. We will find out. I will be endeavoring to control myself and my blood pressure. That will be low sodium bacon, but at least it's not turkey bacon. Next in the queue after AR is Heavenly Chaos, right? Darth, it's right there. It's scrolling on the bottom. I always put up the next two books that are coming out and then audio that we know about. And as you can see, Lux Voice 8 down there says eventually. So no, she has her six Nerf darts, Drius. She has her six Nerf darts. Those are enough. She always recollects them to reload. The one time I threatened to take them away from her, she explained that that would be suboptimal for me, not so much for her. So I do not try to take them away from her anymore. Um, let's just say lines were laid down, and I am choosing not to tiptoe across them. So, will there be more dwarves and elves and aethers anytime soon? Noah, you will know when I write them, just like I will know when I write them. That's just how it is. I am just an after action reporter. So I cannot say specifically what will or will not happen until my characters have told me, which is always nice. Which I always find nice and somewhat funny when people tell me how well I preluded, foreshadowed something going through a series. Well, I'm like, yeah, yeah, that was me, totally. 100%. I knew that was going to happen. Totally didn't expect like Sean to fucking lifebot all the staff or anything. Uh, do you think? Do you think Greg will get another 2 wives? Rain. Once again, man, we'll find out as we go along. I am looking forward to Aether's 9. It's sad that we still have another full month to wait before we get to the full story. The meeting of Gregory, meeting the reincarnation of Vera, definitely interests me, and then they're all the ambassadors to meet. And well, I will point out that the preview chapters on Patreon um, are there for those people who want to dip their toe in the water to get preview chapters. Yeah, keep drinking water. Apparently, I'm being reminded to hydrate by the woman who refuses to hydrate herself. This is like the desert telling the desert to drink. Later, I will sit her down with a bottle of water and be like, and now it's your turn. So, because we have to balance these things out. That's just life. But the preview chapters are up on Patreon for those people who would like to maybe see something like an ambassador meeting, or possibly if we get to that chapter before the previews end, maybe the meeting with Ragnar and his sister. Where does your inspiration come from for these stories? Brian, most of them just come out of my head. Most of my stories have just been, oh, hey, this is an idea, let's run with it. I have been inspired a couple of times by various other series I've read. Apocalypse Gates has a nod to Scotty Futch in the very first book, with Jarvis being called Scott to begin with, because I got the idea from his, I think it was Galactic Fist of Legends series. And Scotty's a great author. He writes over the top zany parody books where like even the sex is just like anime levels of stupid. Um, Never fails to make me laugh with his books. So I always recommend him for the lighthearted zaniness that he does. And then I will say that there's obvious inspiration from Path of Ascension for Heavenly Chaos. Um, Mantis did a great job with his book and his series. Um, and that and a couple of the other cultivation books, which once again I'm terrible with names, guys. I apologize. Got me thinking of something a little more straightforward as a cultivation series than Aethers, which is more nebulous. So a little more hard number and surefire way of growth compared to what Aethers is. It also got me back to the idea of touching on mental health again, which I hadn't really pressed on since Alpha World. So, book question: when you finish Lux Voice 9, will you start on a new series? Use that time to look after your health while still writing. Burn, I have considered dropping back to a 3-book cycle and doing a book every other month, just like then everyone knows, hey, the next book is going to come out like the first of every even month or something. I've considered that. And it'll depend on whether or not any story grabs me and beats me about the head, neck, and shoulders and says, hey, fucker, we know you can write a 4th book, and I want in. And if that happens, then it happens. But at the moment, I've really been considering going to a 3-book rotation instead. It'll give a little bit more leeway and time for the creation process, the editing process, all of that, and might give a little more calmness to not me, because I write a chapter almost every day. Yesterday I did jack all because I was dying. Um, but for like my editors or my artists and stuff to help give more time to the overall creation process, and then this way everyone knows, hey, if there's a 3-book rotation, you're reading 2 books out of every series a year, and it's always going to be on these dates, and it'll be easy for everyone to keep track of. So I've considered it. I am not positive where I'm going yet, but at the moment I'm leaning towards that. Does she have suction cup darts? No, they are the flat. I can't get it. It's behind me somewhere. It's a flat-headed dart. It's just a flat-headed dart. It's just a standard Nerf dart. I have been pegged with them in various places, but not truly pegged with them. Get your minds out of the gutters, you dirty people. I know you read my books, but good lord. No, Envy. That is something that I did not see coming until I started writing the next book in the series, and then when I read back on it to go into the next book, I went, wait, he did what? And at that point, I couldn't change it. So now I am a little more conscientious of making sure my characters don't do something so egregiously different again, because reasons. Scrap pen. I refuse to spoil what I might have read in the preview chapters, and I appreciate that, Envy. That would be a no-no, so I appreciate it. I noticed an increase in blood pressure, with increased water consumption. Apparently, it's the salt already in the water body pulling more water into the blood. I am also on hydrochlorothiazide, Greg, which is to help with the whole thing, the whole water retention pill, which also means that I pee like a racehorse. I take that back. Some racehorses can't match me. It was disconcerting that very first time after taking that med. I've never peed this long in my life. Is this supposed to be a thing now? It's a thing. So yeah. Okay, I've answered that question. Okay. What is the most time-consuming part when you write a book? It's all the same to me. I write a chapter a day. Overall, what takes the most time is probably editing. Actually, writing the book takes the most time. Editing does take time, but you go through a part a day as compared to the chapter a day I do. Yeah. So honestly, it's hard to say. For the writing aspect, it's not this takes longer than that. It's just chapter is chapter. For the overall process, it's probably going through all the different stages of editing, because it's editing, beta, proofing, final checks. All of that probably takes slightly longer than my writing, but honestly, I think they're about balanced across the board at that point. So meh. Which one of your MCs is most like you, and why is it Alvin? Genwar. Um, Honestly, there's probably a little bit of me in every single MC I've written, but they're all different facets. The doing anything that needs to be done for the people I care about that you see in Alvin, that's roughly me. The trying to help those closest to you, even if you're not in love with them, that you see in the early parts of Alpha World, also me. The being open to having more partners easily, but only if they understand each other and you can get along, that you see in Xander, also me. So there's little bits of me. There's none that's truly me. The only one that was truly me doesn't show up for much of a book, and then the series ends. Parts of me, not all of me. So, meh. Can you imagine being the someone trying to date a young lady and come to find out that you have the reincarnated gods currently named Greg with Uncle Ragnar both sitting there waiting for you to come pick her up for a date? I mean, is that where one sharpening a naginata and the other one sharpening his axe, and they just look up and go, "Make sure to have her back by midnight." Yes, 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 sir. I mean, trying to. I mean, if you think about it, it's like we can go back to like binding words to make it easier. The end of binding words, they're all off in the new world, they're settled in, they're having kids at the very end of it, and blah blah blah. Those kids growing up on this new world with the native inhabitants, and they're going to start relationships. When you try to approach the guy, the girl that that she's beautiful, she's well spoken, maybe you're new to the town, you didn't realize right away that she's one of the McDougalls. And then you come to that bit where it's like, well, come have dinner, meet my family, and then you walk in and you find out it's the fucking McDougalls. You're having dinner with deities. How hard is that for you? On the other side, if you're one of the little girls and you've gone out and you found a guy, and you bring him home, and then that's the reception. I mean, that whole idea of how do you parse that as a person? That, I mean, it would be really hard. And at that point, it's not like, with who they are, it's not like you could lie and be like, yeah, I'm totally with her for her, if you're trying to find, like power or something, because they'll know. And I pity the first person who tries that. Because even if Sean doesn't come down like them on a brick, Mina's not going to take that shit, especially not with her past. So, meh. I do wonder if Greg will retain the name or change to Aether when he finally announces himself to the world. I mean, we'll find out together. Oh, look at that! I'm already catching up to you guys. That's sad. 30 minutes in and I'm already caught up to you guys. Wow. Uh, is nowhere close to other harem riders I tried for a bit. I'll take that as a good for me, McKnight. I haven't read that individual, so I can't say. You're like, oh, yeah, pretty much, CB. It very much, and it's just not stopping. Uh, Esteemed author Shinhofen, been a long time since I got a live chat. Since back when you streamed on Facebook. Absolutely love the new series. Well, thank you, Nikki, P, and Xander. Um, I continue to produce the craziness in my head, and you guys continue to like it, so I appreciate that. Um, Heavenly Chaos is a series that I'm going to really enjoy because of being able to get back to touching on mental health again and not being able to whisk it away as easily, like with Rosa's magic nectar and so on and so forth. Being able to really touch on those moments and see how different broken people once again can find commonality with each other. Heavenly Chaos is amazing, and the idea of a futuristic world building instead of being in a past level with technology being absent is always amazing. The more the technology will start to come more into play as they finally get off the quote unquote training world. They get off their low end world and start going different places. But that's one of those bits of Heavenly Chaos that's always going to be a slow build in, because the pockets necessitate more of a primal defeat than hey, I whip out a Glock and shoot the monsters and then move on. So, oh, you love her? Well, just step through this rift to prove it. Yeah, Mina wouldn't be that nice. She would literally probably carve that person to pieces. Hey, welcome in. Every time I see your name, I think of a rubber shark. So I apologize. I can't get away from it. Just I can't. Sorry. It's not, I don't mean it in a meaning way. Just so sort of like Dungeon Walkers. Oh yeah, meet my dad, the leader of the rescue squad. Kind of like that, Drath, but I think it would be on a like at least another level or two above that. This is this is. Oh hey, look, this is a very important person on the world. This is like a king. This is a head of a country. This is, by the way, this is a god. You have a Darth and a Drath? Oh, sure enough, we do. We do indeed. But do we have a donk? Don't need a gun. I've got a donk. And people who get that reference, cheers. And now I'm pretty much out of water. Tinkle in my cup, please. Not as long as I can go. Fresh cold water. Straight from my girlfriend's bottle. Wait. That could be taken so many ways. And if you can't, you're doing it wrong, try again later. Well, I'm going up, moving on up. And I get to stop there before I get, stopped for infringement of stuff. I just joined Patreon. I'm excited for AR9. I'm currently going through a bad headspace. We think my brother has a tumor and I'm terrified. Noah, I can sympathize. I will say that someone I know has a brain tumor. And we have that whole thing. We're going through treatments and pills and everything else, and things seem to be working. But as with all things medical, it's always a okay until we have a definitive answer. You just try to push through it the best you can. But having someone you love going through something like that, I understand 100%. Hopefully, it's benign if it is a tumor, and it can be treated easily. Do you get paid on do you get paid on Audible for what I paid for the credit or what the credit pays for? We get paid if you use a credit. We get paid. Excuse me. We get 40% cut of whatever was used. So in the credit, I think they call it like $10, might be 12, whatever. We get paid 40% of that. So $4 comes to the creator side. The other 60% stays with ACX or whatever. That 40%, since me and Andy do royalty split, she gets half and I get half. Now, if when I go through Podium, Audible still keeps their chunk, which I think is like 50%. Then Podium gets their little piece, and then me and Andy once again get that and then split it. So, because I do royalty split, I know a lot of other authors who call me a few things, none of them complimentary, for giving up so much money to someone else when I could just pay per finished hour and keep all my money. But honestly, Andy's worth every cent. And I will continue to royalty split with her until the end of time. If she keeps making my books, I will continue to royalty split with her. Who would be the scariest father figure of characters? So out of across my books, who would be the scariest father to have to meet? Honestly, Alvin. Alvin is very much the sociopath. If you heard his little girl, he would not hesitate in removing you from the gene pool. Um, if you're talking from an intimidation factor, I'm gonna say just from like a sheer power level, if you knew ahead of time, at the moment it would be Sean. So, I mean, it depends on which way you want to go. Most imposing mother figure, um, I would go. Uh, just if you just walked up and met them without knowing ahead of time, probably Helga, because she still has very much that warrior's soul to her. Um, Once you got to know them, I think it would be a very much a close tie between Gothy and Mina, because either of them would gut you and not feel bad about it. So, hey Twister, I am not sure if I'm going to keep a 4-book rotation or go to a 3-book rotation. That is still up in the air. If I do a 3-book rotation, then you guys would be getting 2 books of every series every year, and it would give me more time in between. Because at the moment, guys, I publish about 7 books a year. That would mean I would drop back to 6 books a year, which gives me a little more buffer room between each book coming out. So I am leaning towards that, but I am not sold yet. If something else jumps up, grabs me by the head, neck, and shoulders, and beats me relentlessly with it, then I'll write it and we'll see what happens. In Heavenly Chaos, will Ben be able to handle dates? You would think he would have a problem trusting people on that level. Rain, people with trauma always react to trauma in their own way. Benedict never had a a woman in his life in the way that a lot of other people have. And these are women who have shown him that they care about him and that they worry about him, especially Atropos. She showed up after not wanting to be there and specifically went to save him. No one else in his life would ever have done that. So where I can see where some people might be like, yeah, he would have a really hard time trusting them. On the other hand, I can see where that kind of love starved sickness of just wanting to be loved by someone and people actively showing him fair care and affection, because he's never had somebody go to the lengths of showing him love and affection and then turning on him. The most he ever got was indifference. So I think that's a difference that maybe you haven't seen, because you're probably equating him to maybe like trauma you had in the past. If you've never had anyone ever show you love and affection, and now you do, which is one of the reasons he fell for Ellen's duplicity so easily, because she was as much as it was telegraphed for the readers, this was still a woman who'd shown that she was interested, she cared, she gave off all the signals of being disappointed and upset and everything else. He wanted it to be real. So I did have somebody, I think it was a review or two, basically say, yeah, he never would have fallen for Ellen, and that depends on where exactly where his past and the reader's past will diverge, and everyone handles trauma differently. If you put people through the exact same trauma, you're not going to get the exact same response. So I can't think of any good questions right now. AR9 and Heavenly Chaos 2 definitely have my interest. I want to read them yesterday, but I don't want to spoil anything. I'm going to miss Lux Voice when it finishes. Although with how Lux Voice 8 finished, just one more book in the series makes sense. It's going to every series I've done, except Dungeon Walkers and, of course, Resurrection Quest, have gotten to the point where I wanted them to be when I finished it. Resurrection Quest bombed completely, and I can probably never ever go back to it. And Dungeon Walkers did poorly, especially at the end, but it wasn't Resurrection Quest levels of bad. But I at least gave a finish to it because I hate unfinished things. But every other series has gotten to the finish point that I had in mind when I started writing the series. So I am at least grateful for that. And that is correct, Serena. That was Crocodile Dundee too. Well, Bragg, it might have been water or it could have been Everclear. Let's find out. Nope, it's not Everclear. Yeah, I know you can't drink, but they don't know that. They do now, but they didn't know that. I hope I'm wrong, but I can easily see someone being brain dead enough to try and attack and wipe out Gregory. Brain dead enough to wipe out Gregory's home village. Alturas to try to get to Greg. I mean, it's possible, Outlaw. We know that he has made powerful enough enemies in various clans that one or two of them, out of a fit of spite, as things go along, might try to do something like that. We also know, or had suggested to a couple of people earlier in the series, if you go back and look, like say a Magus level. Was he Magus or Master level? A Magi who is training the young. That maybe Alturas is a place he would want to retire to. And wouldn't it be a shock to one of those individuals who thought they can just go in and do whatever they wanted if they found a Magus or Master level Magi just kind of kicking it in retirement out there when they tried to roll in and start shit? You always wrote about mental health well, and it adds life to your story. Some of my favorite authors have explored mental health. Honestly, Nikki, because shit, most of the people I know have some kind of mental health issues in their life. I mean, some of us more than others, but almost everyone I know personally, my friends and family, have had some kind of trauma, whether they want to acknowledge it or not, that has affected them. And I think the world would be a better place if we were more understanding of that. If we got less of the "oh, it's all in your head, suck it up and move on with life," and a little more "okay, let's try to help you over what, let's try to help you heal from whatever has happened." Um, and I think society nowadays, with like the younger generations, they're moving more towards the acknowledging and healing aspect instead of like my grandfather and great grandfather's day of rub some dirt on it, you'll man up and move on. Um, but showing that you can address mental health in a respectful way and it's not just a caricature is something that I will always endeavor to do. It shouldn't just be a cutout or a crutch that is mentioned and then thrown away. It should be something that is respected. That is oh, sorry, should be something that is handled respectfully, I should say. There we go. Sean would put your ass in the bog. Well, I mean, if Sean didn't, then like I said, Mina would put his ass in the bog. Oh, let's see. Ignore, remember, repay. Yukiko. I mean, Yukiko would be another one of those ones that you don't want to piss off, honestly. She might not get you now. She'll smile and nod. And then in a couple of years, when your life goes to complete shit, and then the shadows come for you, you'll know. I just want longer books. And the thing is, though, Nikki, even if they were double the length, you'd read them just as fast. And it would take me twice as long to produce them. So it's not really an answer. Didn't both Antecedents Legacy and Heavenly Chaos beat you up and get to write the first two books in the middle of working on other books? That is true, MV. They did. Those were both a couple of years ago when I wrote the first books of them. The other one was Grafting Demons, which I have held off the story for due to my alpha readers telling me that having two stories with dungeon-like components going at the same time might not be the best thing. I have considered at least starting back up in the background Grafting Demons again, because I don't know, maybe I'll finish the series by the time I need another series come around, and that would be nice. I'd be ahead. I've considered it, but having a story that's just beating on me. Hey, you finished your chapter for the day. Now write one of me. That has not happened for a couple of months now, and I have to say, it's a little refreshing knowing that I have free time again. That I can take a couple of hours to play a game if I want. On the other side, they would finish faster. I mean, true, the series would quote unquote finish faster, but only in the concept of time. The story would be the same length. You would just get to them faster, which is what you want overall. You know that. It's right down there on the bottom. Twister. The scroll has the next two books and then the audiobooks that we know about. Struggles. I had the first two books of Antecedents and Heavenly Chaos done before I published the first book of each. Any new series that you are reading? I started a new one by Bruce Centaur that I have been enjoying. I have been reading a lot. I've been trying to catch up on some of the authors that I know that I'm going to be seeing at DragonCon. So I've started Chatfield's Four Horsemen series. I got through the first book of that. I still need to get to book two. I love Chatfield. This series is might not become the empire spanning series that all of his other series have become. It might be a little closer knit, which will be interesting. Really enjoyed the first book of the Four Horsemen from him. KT Hana's Library Apocalypse System, which I'm going to butcher the names of and everything else. I enjoyed the first book. I think the second book comes out in like mid-September, so I'll be looking forward to getting back into that. And then there was a book by this guy, I think it was M. Tress, and it was Monster Girls in Space, I think was the name of the series, which does a disservice to the series and with his author name being Mattress. Because M. Tress, I mean, it seems like a Mattress wrote a book about space, about Monster Girls in Space. It seems like it's going to be just fap fodder. Surprisingly, no, it's much more in line with something I would write. The writer M. Tress is actually a fan of my work. I've talked to him. Books 1 and book 2 are already out. I think book 3 comes out later this month, and he had the first 3 like set to go 1, 2, 3, one a month to try to build interest in his writing to see if he could start doing more with it, because he is starting out much like most indie authors do, where you're writing while working and you have to try to balance work, home life, and writing. So he made sure he had a good run up first to try to get interest in things. Now that does mean that going forward after book 3 publishes, it's going to be a little longer for anything else to come from him. But if he can latch on to a good enough name for himself now, it will work out for him. I would recommend Monster Girls in Space. I think the first one is called Honor's Bid. Like I said, it's written much more in line with my style of writing than you would think from a harem with that title. I wanted to mention them this live chat, so thank you for somebody asking me about new series I've read. Yeah. What else have I read recently? There's something else in there. I'm terrible with names, guys. I apologize. I know I can say those. I also have still on deck, I think it's Apocalypse Regression by Dean and Mejia to get through. The last book in that series is still on my Kindle waiting for me as well. So many books to get through before I go and see all my favorite authors again at DragonCon. But I am doing my best. This way I can be contemporary with what they've written, so I'm not lost when we start comparing notes on stuff. I don't get that much time to read normally. That was okay. I can scroll now. I did that one. Okay. Any potential story set in a modern day type world, something contemporary. Grafting Demons is actually set in a dystopian, cyberpunkish type future, which is one of the reasons I would like to put that out outside of the dungeon aspect of it, because it's new. And I did have a new kernel of a thought for a more urban fantasy setting where like the main character gets introduced to the fact that some of the weirdness actually still exists in society alongside society, and he gets thrust into that world. Um, I haven't really fleshed it out though. I think I wrote one chapter of it, and then my blood pressure tried to kill me. Yay! So we'll find out. So yeah, I always have different ideas. It's just a matter of whether or not I'm going to write them. Love Heavenly Chaos, Aethers, and Antecedents. Such great books will follow. Can't wait for the next book in the series. I have questions, but they have to wait until the next live chat since I have to work in 5 minutes. Well, Crimson, thank you for coming in. Um, Maybe I hope to see you next time. Guys, currently the next live chat is going to be a late live chat on September the 15th at like 6 p.m. Pacific. If I'm not dying or sick, because I might end up with, con crud or COVID or something coming back from DragonCon. Or my blood pressure will spike again, or the world will end, or, a craziness with a cat will happen and I'll break out into a full body hive, or who knows, because life. It's fun making plans when life says fuck off. Actually, I did have Bregan, your comment there. I've come to destroy you all, Earth Mage cracks knuckles. Oh, you have. I did have the concept of a story that I wrote a few chapters on, but I never got back to, which was the more of the system apocalypse story, where the main character was being set up to be an Earth focused, like druidish character, who would be more in the aspect of trying to protect what's left, not so much of the everything needs to be green and rosy. Because I was setting him, like I do with most things, as having lived in a desert biome. So everything doesn't need to be green and trees, it just needs to live. But once again, it's another idea. It did not clamor loud enough to keep going, but it is something I have kept that I can get back to. Sorry to hear that, McKnight. Do check back later and see if you're one of the winners of one of the challenge coins, sir. Because I do contact people via Twitch for winning a challenge coin. So if you're here and you are participating, check your messages later today and tomorrow to see if you're one of the winners. I would like to mail those out before I go to DragonCon. So I read a 600-page book in a day. I love books with a long series behind them. I'm currently reading 97 book series and still creating books in the series. Noah, that's a lot. But when I was a reader, I understand. When I was a reader, I was there. Now that I'm a writer, I can't. I just can't. There's no time. I try to give myself an hour or two a night of reading, and some days I make that. Other days I go to bed and I'm just like, I'm done. Fuck this shit. I'm going to bed. It's a good book, but I just can't. And there are other days when the book has caught my attention the night before, and I was reading it for my 2 hours. Turned out to be more like 3.5. And then after I get done with my chapter, I'm like, fuck it. I'm reading. Leave me alone. So, so I understand, but I really don't get that same push anymore myself. Actually, Drigus, I know authors who have done that to a degree. Not all at once though. It's normally a book a month, a book a month, a book. This way, there's because you still need that little bit of time for the book to break out, have its own little umbrella of time. before you publish the next one, so it can then have the spotlight. If you publish the whole series at once, it's not going to do as well. If the fastest I would ever recommend trying to do that would be every 2 weeks. About 2 weeks of a new book coming out is the big spike, and then after that you have a little bit of taper off, and then about the end of a month is when it has gone back down to normal. So every 2 weeks would be the fastest I'd ever tell anyone to do that. A month is the best time period for like doing that, but honestly, most authors can't write, edit, and publish their books that fast without them being copy pasta or frameworked books. So if you've ever read like some of the romance series that have reached like 48 books, you understand what I mean. It's very formulaic. You understand roughly how the series is going, how each book in the series is going to go. How goes the prep for Dragon Con? Prep for me goes well. I gotta, get a few more things in line. I know the Lit RPG get together on the Sunday of Dragon Con, so that would be on the 1st, September 1st. They are doing a silent auction for various things. I am bringing a full collection of challenge coins minus Heavenly Chaoses to that silent auction. So for any of you who are attending who wanted a complete set of challenge coins, this is the one time to this point where I am allowing someone to buy them, but it's going to a charity and it's going to be at a silent auction. So if you're attending and you really want it, there's the chance that you can outbid people and get it. I would like it to be the biggest thing going during that silent auction, but honestly, I know some of the other authors who are going to be there who are bringing other stuff for the silent auction, and I'm not going to be. But I would like to at least make a decent showing, guys. So if you would like the challenge coins, please go and bid. I am not touching a meth field, much less bringing it with me. And if it ends up in my bag, it's going to get left in Atlanta. Then don't put one in my bag. They can stare all they want from over there. I wish there were more authors writing BattleTech style books like Anteciden's Legacy. I know at least one other author has started a mecha series, but I fail on names once again, guys. They are out there, but they're not as prevalent. The more niche you make something, the less of an audience it has. So if I just do fantasy, it's going to sell. Fantasy always sells. But if I do like sci-fi, it'll sell. It won't sell as well because that is a dichotomy. Now, if I make sci-fi galactic empire spanning, it's going to have a little less of a drop off because it's once again, it's dividing itself down. Just like if I do fantasy, okay. If I do dark fantasy, okay, that segregates the pile down more. If I do high fantasy, okay, that segregates down still more than dark. So on and so forth. Hondo Jinx had his Fight Town series, which I think he only got through 2 books of, I forget. Great series, loved them, but it was a lit RPG boxing story. So the overall audience was a lot narrower because you had to enjoy one lit RPG and then 2 boxing to really enjoy the story, which is why I don't think it did as well as he hoped because the niche of it was so narrow. And if I ever get to talk to the individual again, I will see about trying to convince him to write one more book in it because I think he wrote 2. I would like one more book in it to finish out an arc, but that would be me. I would try to convince him of that, probably with money thrown at his face. So, but the more niche of a style you write, the harder it is going to be to get other people interested. Oh, do. 2 Valors bid. Thank you. Somebody got the book for me. That was M. Tress's book. Are you doing a meet and greet Dragon Con this year? No, I am not steaming, but I will be easy to find. One, I have a couple of panels that you'll be able to find me at, and then 2, I will be easily contactable via like Discord and stuff. for those people who are specifically looking for me, especially if you have like books you want signed and stuff. But I did not set up a meet and greet this time. Last time it was mostly just other authors who showed up, and that felt a little underwhelming. And now I'm going to take an AFK for a minute, guys. Enjoy the chair. If Twitch Beta Studio hadn't come down, I could at least put up an AFK screen, but they screwed that up for me by taking Twitch Beta Studio away. I'm a horse. Of course, of course. To Valor's bid, Monster Girls in Space Book 1. Thank you, Yakman. M. Tress. What are you happiest about that the people picked up for the reference in your series? Honestly, Mercury, I drop references, one, to like every other series that I can, and then two, to Pahrump and or Water Rock, because that's the town I live in. Being able to find a reference to drop into like Aethers, though, is the most challenging, since there is no way I can connect a book series into that. So I have to add more oblique references to them than instead of, oh yeah, I read that book, which I've been able to do with most of the other ones. Honestly, though, I was probably happiest when I was able to include a BDSM cookbook into Heavenly Chaos, which my girlfriends are now damning me for having to, slowly start on. So it's funny to me, makes me happy. Have you read Heretical Fishing? It reminds me more of your slice of lifestyle. As I was Australian, I recommend it to everyone. Magnus, I have read the first book at least of Heretical Fishing. It honestly reminded me more of uh, Beware of Chicken in one regard. Um, there was enough differences in it that it was easily its own standalone book, but I could see similarities too, just like you can see similarities of Path of Ascension and Heavenly Chaos. There's nothing wrong with being inspired by something and then making it your own, as long as you deviate it enough to make it your own. which is why when people complain when I've had those negative comments about how Heavenly Chaos is too similar to Path of Ascension and how I've stolen from that author, I'm like, you guys are seeing like the 3 or 4 narrow similarities instead of the wider differences, but that's okay. You can't change somebody's mind once they've made it up if they're that dug in. Any thoughts of doing standalone books, things that are full series but bug you to get written? Um, yeah, me condensing something down into a standalone book would be an fight of epic proportions, honestly. From the way I write, it would be difficult to say the least. The short stories I wrote for Patreon years ago, which ended up as NPC Lives and connected to the Alpha World series, was difficult enough for me to connect threads back through. I can't imagine trying to do that again. Um, and then trying to condense like just a single book out would be, like I said, it'd be difficult for me. I like to take time and expand things. And if you're doing a standalone book, you normally have to be much more condensed. Hey, look, Rob is reading NPC Live for the first time. Those were short stories I made for Patreon. Back like near the start, I made up a tier specifically for I would write a short story centered around one character of that person's choice. And that gave me NPC Lives. But I also knew the time and effort it took to write those. And it became less than ideal to continue doing so. So I stopped doing that tier. Thanks for coming in, Chopper. Hope you have a good day. Check back later, see if you're one of the winners. Do you have Heavenly Chaos Challenge coins at this time? I will have them probably by the time I publish book 2 in November. So, but the idea of what things are going to be for it, I already have the concept and whatnot. It's going to be a matter of getting things made and whatnot. But I don't want the challenge coin out in the public until such time at least as book 2 has come out. Or my tattoo, which some people might see at DragonCon. They might also see the Heavenly Chaos shirt at DragonCon because I'm bringing one of those with me. So there might be pictures of Heavenly Chaos stuff that might be a surprise to some people, if you're coming to DragonCon or if you see pictures of it. I am not going out of my way to keep things completely in the dark, but I'm not going out of my way to shove them in pieces. Shove and peep. Sorry, the cashew gallery got to me there. She reminded me of why she loves me. Yeah, good timing. Words are hard already. They get harder after you do that for a while. Ah, words. Yes, words. I wonder how many loopholes Zelda will find for Xander so he can pick and choose what he has to tell the assembly versus does he have to help them or can he choose to loosely help them? I don't know, Rain. We're gonna find out. Thank you, Shadow. I appreciate that. Like I said, I never intend to sell the challenge coins. I set up the challenge coins specifically to be one of those things you can win off of the various giveaways, the live chats, because I don't want to make money off of them. They're not about money for that. They're about fan interaction, giving back to you guys. When I was approached about the silent auction, I was like, well, I could give. What can I give away? I can give away a signed book, but like a lot of people are doing that. I could give away a cameo red shirt appearance, which I've done. Which I found out not that long ago are apparently called Tuckerizations, which I did not know. But a couple of people are like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, I've done those. I want to do something a little different. And then I thought, well, my challenge coins, my fans like them. This will be one of the few chances for someone to grab an entire set if they're not part of my officer core. So let's go with that. And so that's what we're running with. No, yeah, each of my Sammy answered you in chat. But if you go to Facebook or Discord, you can find pictures of them. I think the one is in the Discord. It's in the FAQ channel, and on Facebook, it's under the pin posts. I think it's under the featured tab because they have to keep changing names of shit. But they're there, so you can look at them. Each series has a coin, even Resurrection Quest. The coins I will probably never get rid of. Whenever anybody tells me, guys, by the way, if you ever tell me it's your choice, guess which coin you're gonna get. Okay? So just keep that in mind, because otherwise I'm never getting rid of them. Where was I? Oh, there's my chair stream. Chair stream. Do 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 do. I have currently pinned on a chair stream. Chair stream. Do 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 do. The two meth fields. Yes, they are in the background. So there was cat. It's meth fields. There's a sad nuggy up there and a dinosaur. Is that a dragon? Ice dragon? You have been begged to write the book Bodacious Daniel Shinofan Meals many times during these live chats. I have indeed. My girlfriends are slowly beginning to collect things. Or 3 or 4 years, depending. It is being worked on in the background. I'll say that. Annual contest idea. Send in a single recipe we think you and your girlfriends would like, and you cook it, and the winner gets into the cookbook a red shirt recipe in the book. I mean, yeah, I'm not opposed. So it's a cute idea. But honestly, if I was going to do that, I'd be more like take one of the meals out of my books, create a recipe for it, create it, taste it first, and then let us know. Because then it takes work out of the hands over here, and that'll speed things up even more. And you would get the little obligatory created by in the cookbook. See, that's what happens. That's what happens when you tell me your choice. You're gonna end up with 2 freaking coins. And you are the person with the most RQ coins besides me. Congratulations. You have a long way to go to beat me, though. If you're talking about the Empire's Gambit game, Nikki, no, there were a lot of complications, and then it was, I forget what uh, it was complicated, but the one that had started was using one of the computer engines that since changed their rules, and it kind of canned everything else. And I can't. If APOC was around, he could Unity. Yeah, the Unity engine. It kind of shit canned the rest of it because things do that. Cranky Bits. Do you have luck coins yet? Yeah, Cranky. I've had them for since like book 2 or book 3. So if you want a Lux voice coin, they are there if you're one of the winners. With you promoting a book by KT last month, have you thought about having her on there in one of your live chats? No, she's not. She's from Australia. She lives with her husband in like Kansas. I have not. I have Andy on here because we collaborate on books together. I haven't thought about turning these into a live chat with just like other authors I enjoy. Um, I might do that in the future, but honestly, this is to get back to you guys, so I'm not sure if that would work or not. You can find various places that make up challenge coins, Rob. I use a company that I found online, and they've done me right since the beginning, so I keep going back to them. Between the silent auction and the heavenly chaos Tuesdays, I really want to go to the con but can't. Oh, I'm sorry, Drigas. Totally not my intent at all. Have you considered a charity game where you DM a game where people make donations to get a seat at the table? I can't, Shadow. I mean, I like the idea. One, I would need to use some kind of software, which I don't do. I would need to specifically dragoon somebody like APOC who has used like Roll20 or something to make it happen. Two, I am not really sure that it would be as popular as you might think. Um, Finding a software that actually runs Cards Against Humanity is difficult as hell. They come and go all the damn time. They're still what? Hmm. Um, a Cards Against Humanity fan day would be something that would be a lot easier than me making up a game for. Um, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's a hard no, but it would take me thinking about some more and actually having time to invest in. But it is something to consider. I just can't think that many people. You know how hard it is to get people together for a normal role playing day. If you're talking about people spread out across the world who are jumping into it, oh God, that'd be difficult. That would be difficult as hell. I have two resurrection quests because I forgot I had one. Ah, yes. Magnus, congratulations, sir. Uh, and I am going to have to go soon, guys. I'm going to try to get through the rest of the questions. Apparently, we have a company coming over, which I forgot about. Let's see. Do 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 do. Oh, I know you are, Pock. It's fine. Oh, cool. I actually hit the end of the comments and questions. A charity game at DragonCon or such, not randomly on the interwebs. Um, I have no idea. I'd have to look into what it would take to even try to set up getting a table or a game set up at those at DragonCon because I have never looked into it. I've never actually sat to play at one of them because I always have a million other things going on. Um, Maybe if I was going to do that though, it probably wouldn't be at DragonCon. I know that there's talk about doing a Lit RPG Con. That the first rumblings of it being in July of next year in Denver have started. I would be more likely to do it there, where there are fans specifically for Lit RPG, than trying to set up a DragonCon. Because trying to set up a DragonCon, I think, would be much more of a hassle to, who do I talk to? What do I have to do? So, 4 zones. A Cards Against Humanity style cooking game would be interesting. That sounds terrible, Yak Man. I am afraid on so many levels. Uh, Hopefully I can make the next live session. In a live action Lux voice show movie, who would you like to see play Doc? I mean, grizzled yet suave, able to pull off kind of a tough act while also being lovable. So I'd go with Ryan Reynolds. But he's going to be my default for everything because I think he's just an amazing person and actor. I would take Keanu Reeves as well, honestly, and then I'd take Hugh Jackman as playing Herod. I mean, after all, why break up a combination if you can keep it going? Uh, okay, so I have reached the end of the comments. We've been going for an hour and a half. So, guys, I want to thank everyone for coming. Do check your Twitter messages later tonight. Twitch, your Twitch messages later tonight, tomorrow, to see if you're one of the people tapped with winning a coin. I would like to get all the addresses and coins from people so I can send them off before I go to con. For like the one person who never replied to me last month, if you're watching today, now would be a good time. I have given people their coins, even if they contact me a month or so late, but I really like to get them all out when I can. So please, please work with me. Otherwise, guys, I will see those of you who are going to DragonCon at the con. Otherwise, I will be back here on the 15th of September for another live chat, barring life. So stay safe out there. As my girlfriend likes to remind me, stay hydrated. And I will see you next time. Bye.